Hi folks, John Montgomery here from Benson Fiat and Benson Alfa Romeo. That's bensonfiat.com or bensonalfa.com, and there's my contact information. Well, I'm still working on the Smart Car exhaust system project. This is part 3 in the video series to do this, and I want to show you my finished work here now that I have the exhaust system on, and I have removed the catalytic converter assembly and original header. Now let's take a look at that original header first. You can see where it's got 4 bolts that go through there. Those are actually studs, and then you use a 12mm 6-point to take that off, and then you've got a bolt right here that goes up to the block assembly. And of course this is the downstream, or I'm sorry, the main port connector for the O2 first O2 sensor, and then you have the secondary right here. So it's a high and low, or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, there's the 2 thread impressions here to take off the heat shield, and of course there's the clip that holds it on in the back. So once you take these 2 E10 bolts out, then you remove this, and then you're able to remove the heat shield. But it's sandwiched in there pretty good. This little flange comes with it. This is the OEM, and it's got these bolts right here to tie it into the chassis itself, so that it's got some support. Now let's get into what's been finished here so you can see what I was up to. There's the header installed. You can see the first O2 sensor there, and then there's the second O2 sensor going straight up out of the tube once it gathers together. And I had to connect it to the Solo performance exhaust, and as I mentioned, these Solo exhausts are still available on the market. They're a little over $400. Make sure if you get one with a flex tube on it like this right here, so that it's got a little bit of movement. As you know, the Smart Car engine will rock a little bit as you drive it down the road, especially if you drive it hard. Now there's one little problem between this flange piece right here that's welded in from the factory and the Doug Thornly header. They didn't actually meet, so there was a little distance that I had to straddle there. So what I did, if you take a look in there, you can see 2 black bars of steel. Those were just 1 inch by 1/8 flat stock that I bought from Home Depot, and then put those nuts and washers in there to hold the Doug Thornly header to the mating surface on the chassis that I had for the OEM. Now you got to ask yourself, how in the world can you get the exact distance there, because one side is longer than the other? So kind of simple. What I did was I took a little piece of 3x5 paper, and took my little silver spray and went ahead and sprayed that so I could get the exact location of the holes with the spray paint. And then I measured here and simply took my flat stock and drilled the corresponding holes, cut it off, and then did another piece to get corresponding holes. So that was how I was able to get the exact dimensions, so it fit perfectly. You can see the back side of it where I've got the bolts. Those bolts are a little bit too long. I may go ahead and cut those off, but I don't think it makes any difference whether I cut them or not. But that's how I was able to tie that in. Now with the Doug Thornly piece, I think you do get a little bridge piece, but make sure you get that if you try to buy one of these, or if you can find one. Typically, like this one being used, I didn't even know I was supposed to get one, so kind of had to fab that up so that it had a good connection. And so this is now nice and solid, so it's just really good and tight. And so there's the wrap that I did on each side of the exhaust. And I'm also going to wrap this header a little bit, and I've got some exhaust system wrap right here and some little tie wraps. These are the metal tie wraps, simply like this right here. They're kind of like tie wraps, but they're the metal kind. So I'll wrap that up pretty good before I put all this back and put the crash bar in. So that way keep the heat transfer down. As you know, the heat comes up through the bottom of the floor on these cars, and it can get a little toasty in the normal operation, especially with that cat that's pulling a lot of heat. So anyway, that's what I've got so far, and it's worked out pretty good. I think right now the only thing I need to do is put the crash bar back in. That's those 3 screws on each side, and then I can put my panels on, put the tail lights in first, and then put the panels in. You can see right there, that's the hole where that panel fastens to. So that's kind of what you have behind it. And so looking around in here is pretty simple, but very tight. So it's very, very important that you, you know, get a little creative with the use of sockets and stuff like that. But anyway, that little trick for the bridge there, I think is going to work really well and be able to support the car. And it was very cheap to do. You can buy that flat steel at Home Depot or Lowe's. So once again, we're going to say goodbye to this old catalytic converter and hopefully pick up a little power and torque. And I mean, it's got to be better. I mean, considering, look at the way this catalytic converter is made. I mean, it's, you know, basically welded on there, but there's a lot of restriction in that header going down to the catalytic converter. So I think that I'm going to have a much better flow of exhaust. And anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start the car up so you can hear a little bit of how it is. So we'll go ahead and do that now and kind of rev it just a little bit so you can hear what the results are. And as you can see, of course, there's the engine bay. So got the cold air intake in there. I'll clean up that filter before I button it all back up, and you know, just change the oil. So it's pretty good. So let me give it a shot here, and you can hear the difference. And here we go. Sounds pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and put the camera down and rev it up a little bit for you. Stand by. All right, well, hope you enjoyed that. I think I will. I don't mind it being a little loud. I also have a Fiat 500 Abarth, so that thing is pretty raucous. So this will be a smaller version of that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if I can ever help, here's my contact information. And I appreciate you watching, and I hope that your smart car experience has been good. And you know, we're gonna go ahead and button up this project and take it down the road. So hope you have a great week, and we'll catch up soon. By the way, anybody wants a catalytic converter for a smart car, I might be able to sell you one. I think I'm not gonna need it. Anyhow, I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.